How to eliminate 10 things in silence to improve your life. Stoic lessons for inner peace. Let's be clear. Your life is filled with things that add no value, drain your energy, and hinder your progress. Have you ever stopped to think why you're still carrying all of this? Sometimes, the most revolutionary act is not making noise, but silently letting go of what no longer serves us. Toxic relationships? Eliminate them. Self-destructive habits? Gone as well. And you don't need to announce it to the world, nor seek anyone's approval. In today's content, we'll explore how to apply a powerful principle from Stoic philosophy. Let go of what's outside your control and set yourself free. Life is too short to live at the mercy of other people's expectations. I'll guide you step by step to identify and eliminate 10 aspects that are sabotaging your life, not just physically, but mentally as well. These things are wearing you down in ways you can't see. And if you don't act, you risk losing something invaluable, your inner peace. So start now, quietly, without excuses, because in the end, what we choose to leave behind says much more about who we are than what we insist on carrying. Before we dive into the lessons, listen to this story. It perfectly illustrates the wisdom we'll be discussing. In a coastal village, there was a young fisherwoman named Natalie, known for her ability to navigate through turbulent waters and her talent for fishing even on the toughest days. Over time, however, Natalie accumulated various broken nets and tools she no longer used. Out of habit, she kept them all in the small boat she worked in. One day, an unexpected storm formed while she was at sea. The violent waves made every movement difficult, and the excess weight in the boat made it nearly impossible to maneuver. For hours, Natalie struggled, but she realized that the biggest obstacle wasn't the waves. It was the useless items taking up space. In a moment of desperation, she made a difficult decision. She started throwing out everything that no longer served her. Torn nets, worn-out ropes, even things she kept out of attachment. With each item she released, her boat grew lighter and more agile. The storm continued, but free from the unnecessary weight, Natalie managed to endure and eventually returned to port, exhausted but safe. She was asked by other fishermen how she had survived. Her answer was simple. Sometimes we carry things we don't need. Objects, memories. The moral is clear. Unnecessary weight hinders our journey. Only when we free ourselves from it do we find the lightness to move ahead. Now, let's begin. First, let's face a major obstacle: the fear of others' opinions. How many times have your decisions been influenced by the fear of what others would think? This fear, silent and persistent, can be one of the biggest barriers to living your truth. How do you live under the constant feeling of being on stage, being analyzed by an audience that, in reality, is much more concerned with itself? Most people are so absorbed in their own insecurities that they rarely notice you. Yet, you freeze. The fear of judgment from others is like an invisible parasite that feeds on your dreams. It whispers in your ear whenever you think of daring or doing something out of the ordinary. What will others think? And suddenly you change direction, adjusting your life to what you believe others expect from you. How ironic. We spend so much time worrying about others' opinions that we end up neglecting the life we truly want to live. This fear pushes us to please people who often aren't even part of our lives. It's as if our compass is misaligned. Instead of following the north of our intuition, we follow the south dictated by social expectations. We wear masks that fit the demands of the moment, at work, with friends, even on social media. But where is the real you? The one who remains hidden beneath layers of forced smiles and borrowed opinions? The fear of judgment is treacherous because it often disguises itself as prudence. Now is not the time. Or maybe I'm not good enough. These are excuses that mask the same monster, the fear of what others will think. Meanwhile, your dreams sit on a shelf, waiting for a perfect moment that never comes. To overcome this fear, we need to turn to Stoic philosophy. The Stoics teach that we can't control what others think of us, but we can control how we react. It sounds simple, but it requires constant practice of introspection and courage. It's about learning to live for yourself and make decisions that bring you happiness, rather than pleasing others. A good start is to eliminate, quietly, what doesn't add value to your life, what you do just to keep up appearances. Maybe you've chosen a career you don't love because it seemed like the right choice, or you keep commitments that don't interest you out of obligation. Start small. Say no to something you don't want to do. Try something you've always wanted, without worrying about what others will think. It won't be easy. There will be days when the weight of others' opinions feels overwhelming. But remember, every time you live to please others, you lose a piece of yourself. It's a slow, silent death that can only be avoided by being true to who you are. Eliminate these shackles without announcing it. Set aside what doesn't belong to your essence. Trust your judgment and value your own opinion of yourself more than what others might think. Because in the end, the only person you need to answer to is yourself. Carl Jung said that true freedom begins when we stop caring about what others think of us. Now, let's talk about another burden we need to release: toxic relationships. There's a saying, there's no worse blind person than the one who doesn't want to see. You've heard it, right? Interestingly, we often apply this blindness to our own relationships. We get used to dealing with people who drain more energy than they provide. Toxic relationships often go unnoticed at first, but gradually consume your vitality. The most curious part is that we cling to them as if they were essential, even though, deep down, we know they are not, as if they were indispensable. Toxic relationships are not just in romantic relationships. They can appear in family, friends, or work. And the most intriguing thing, no one forces us to keep them, but still, there we are, silently tolerating, as if severing these bonds would be an act of rebellion against the universe. Why do we do this? Maybe because we've been taught that cutting ties is a sign of weakness or insensitivity, as if excluding someone from our life is a cruel gesture. In reality, this could be the greatest act of self-love you can perform. The Stoics teach something powerful. We should not worry about what we cannot control. This includes the people around us. You can't control how they act, but you can choose whether or not to keep them in your life. It sounds simple, but here's the challenge. Do this quietly. And it's not about revenge or superiority. It's a conscious decision not to feed relationships that drain your energy. Think about it. You don't need to make a spectacle to eliminate what no longer serves you. You don't have to announce that you're detoxing from someone. Just let go. It's like stopping watering a plant that no longer blooms. You do it calmly, recognizing it no longer belongs in your garden. And that's okay. The plant follows its own path. You follow yours, and life goes on. Have you ever spent time with someone and left feeling completely drained? Not because that person is bad, but because their energy doesn't match yours. That's where the real work begins. Detecting these relationships. Listen to what your body and mind are trying to tell you. If every time you see a message from this person you feel a knot in your stomach. If spending time with them leaves you more tired than a whole week of work. If you notice you're always giving but never receiving, you already have your answer. When this becomes clear, begin the process of elimination. No arguments, no long explanations. Just as you're turning your back on the world, but because you're finally putting your well-being first. Self-love is often not about saying no out loud. Reduce your interactions. Don't seek contact anymore. Stop being available. It's an act of freedom. Not because you're turning your back on the world, but because you're finally putting your well-being first. Self-love is often not about saying no out loud, but about saying enough in silence. Identifying these relationships isn't cruel, nor does it involve holding a grudge. It's an act of respect for yourself. You're choosing to preserve your energy for people and activities that truly strengthen you. In the end, some people are like the wind. You feel their presence, but you can't hold on to them. Just let them pass. Now, let's talk about another silent enemy: self-destructive habits. These little actions that at first glance seem harmless, but over time, erode your mental and physical peace. Have you fallen into this trap? I have. More times than I'd like to admit. These habits are like constant leaks. Alone, they seem insignificant, but over time, they wear down even the strongest rock. And what do you do when these habits become the rocks weighing down your daily life? Where do you begin to eliminate them? Without drama, without scandal. The first step is recognizing their existence. And here lies the true challenge. It's often easier to point out the flaws in others than to see our own. Like a perfectly adjusted machine, it is chaotic, unpredictable, full of variables beyond our reach. The sooner you accept this, the sooner you will find the peace you've been seeking. The obsession with control turns us into prisoners of our own thoughts. We plan, rethink, adjust every detail. But in the end, Life always surprises us. As the Stoics say, we don't control external events, only our reaction to them. Epictetus teaches us, it is not events that disturb us, but our opinions about them. This simple phrase is a powerful key. When you try to control the uncontrollable, you are, in fact, surrendering control over yourself. So, how do we break this prison? First, recognize that much of what you fear will never happen. Anxiety is a thief of time, a prophecy that rarely comes true. When you worry about the future or the outcome of something you can't change, you're just wasting energy that could be used to handle the present. Start small. The next time something goes off plan, don't react immediately. Take a step back. Breathe deeply. If not, let life's flow take its course. Liberating yourself from the desire to control everything doesn't mean giving up on your goals or being indifferent. On the contrary, it means focusing on what truly matters. Your actions, your choices, your behavior. Think of life as a sailing boat. You can adjust the sails, but you can't control the wind, and that's perfectly fine. Over time, this practice of letting go becomes liberating. When you accept that you can't control everything, you realize you never needed to. The world won't collapse just because things didn't go as planned. You'll discover you are more resilient than you thought, that you can handle the unexpected calmly and rationally. And here's the irony. As the Stoic proverb says, live in accordance with nature. This means embracing life's uncertainty, navigating storms with courage and wisdom, and realizing that serenity comes not from absolute control, but from deep acceptance. Next time you feel the urge to hold everything tightly, try letting go. Trust the process. After all, the universe always finds a way to surprise us, and sometimes that's exactly what we need. Slowly, each step feels heavier, and in the end, you don't even know why you started running. The Stoic philosophy invites us to question these unrealistic expectations and replace the pursuit of perfection with the pursuit of authenticity. As Marcus Aurelius reminds us, ask yourself, at every moment, what truly matters is not achieving unreachable standards, but living according to our own values and principles. When you let go of the need to be perfect, you discover something extraordinary: the freedom to be human. Being human means accepting your flaws, learning from them, and continuing to move forward without the unnecessary weight of trying to impress the world. Try this exercise. Next time you feel like you're being too hard on yourself, stop and ask, is this expectation mine or someone else? If it's not something from your heart, let it go. You are not responsible for meeting everyone else's expectations, much less for achieving unrealistic goals that only drain your energy. Be kind to yourself. The Stoics teach us that true strength is not in being flawless, but in being resilient. And resilience is about getting up after every fall. It's about learning to balance effort and acceptance. And above all, it's about choosing a path that's true to who you really are, not to what the world expects you to be. Remember, perfection is an unattainable ideal, but authenticity is your greatest strength. Letting go of unrealistic expectations is not giving up. It's prioritizing. It's focusing on what truly matters to you, what makes sense, what enriches your life. In the words of Epictetus, if you seek progress, be content to appear ignorant or foolish in things that don't matter. This is an invitation to set aside the unnecessary, embrace the essential, and find true peace. So, next time you feel trapped by impossible standards, remember, what matters is not being perfect, but being you. That's more than enough. And feel the immediate relief when you let it drop. That's exactly what happens when we abandon the need to always be right. The Stoics teach us that true power doesn't lie in proving something to someone, but in maintaining inner peace. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not over external events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Remember, insisting on being right often brings no real gain, but instead, tension, conflict, and exhaustion. Silence, on the other hand, brings clarity and balance. It doesn't mean weakness, but maturity. Next time you find yourself in an argument, ask, is it worth it? What do I gain from this? If the answer is only to feed your ego or win a pointless argument, choose silence. It's a powerful choice, a demonstration of control over yourself and your emotions. It's not about giving up your ideas or beliefs, but learning to choose your battles. Sometimes, letting someone believe they're right is the wisest way to keep your peace. After all, those at peace with themselves don't need to prove anything to anyone. And as Epictetus wisely said, letting go of the need to always be right is letting go of one of the greatest illusions we carry. And by doing so, we gain the freedom to live with ease and purpose. And they don't come back. Think about it. While you scroll mindlessly through your feed, what are you letting pass by in real life? Moments of genuine connection, inner peace, or even the simple pleasure of doing something without interruptions. The Stoics had a clear principle: focus on the essential and eliminate the superfluous. That's exactly what we need to apply to the digital chaos. Here are 3 practical steps to eliminate the digital noise from your life and reclaim your inner peace. 1. Establish specific times to check social media, emails, or messages. Outside of these periods, resist the urge to check. Use the remaining time for activities that truly nurture your mind and soul. 2. Choose a day or a few hours each week to disconnect completely. Use this time to be present. Read a book, walk in nature, or simply enjoy the silence. 3. Replace noise with intentional silence. Instead of starting your day with notifications and feeds, begin with something that brings you calm and purpose, such as meditation, reading inspiring texts, or writing in a journal. As Epictetus taught, if you wish to be unshakable, you must eliminate everything that does not contribute to your inner peace. It's not about rejecting technology, but about using it with awareness and purpose. Remember, your attention is the most valuable resource you have. Don't waste it on what doesn't add value to your life. Silence, an epic confrontation, but one of subtle and constant change in how you perceive and react to them. The Stoics teach us that true freedom comes from within, from the control we have over our responses, not from what happens around us. Epictetus said, "It is not things that disturb us, but our opinions about them." This idea is powerful because it gives us the key to transform our mental state, even in the most difficult circumstances. Here are 3 steps to handle negative thoughts the Stoic way. 1. Recognize but don't identify. Negative thoughts will arise, but you are not your thoughts. See them as temporary visitors. Acknowledge their presence without resistance, but also without attachment. This helps to reduce their emotional impact. 2. Question with logic. When a destructive thought arises, ask, "Is this true?" Often you will realize that it has no basis in reality, but is simply a reflection of fear or exaggeration. Replace these ideas with more rational and positive affirmations. 3. Adopt the stance of an observer. Imagine your thoughts as clouds passing through the sky. They come and go, but the sky. This practice helps to create space between your mind and your reactions. When you reduce the power of negative thoughts, you create space for what truly matters: clarity, purpose, and tranquility. Remember, as the Stoics said, true power is not in changing the world, but in changing yourself. By silently eliminating these destructive ideas, you move closer to inner freedom, a state where peace is the norm, not the exception. The lighter your mind, the lighter your journey will be. Comparison is a silent poison. Sometimes we catch ourselves evaluating our life, progress, and choices against others. And it's a vicious cycle. The more we compare, the more we feel like we're not where we should be. But what if I told you that by comparing yourself, you're only distancing yourself from your own truth? Other people's lives will never be yours, and their victories don't diminish yours. Comparison is a prison built by the mind, where you place yourself behind bars without realizing it. The Stoics understood that the greatest mistake we can make is getting distracted by others' victories, because it prevents us from looking inward and focusing on what truly matters: our own growth. As Epictetus said, "Do not seek that events happen as you wish, but wish that they happen as they do, and your life will be serene." When we compare our journey to that of others, we distance ourselves from what truly matters. Here are 3 ways to free yourself from the trap of comparison. 1. The only valid measure of progress is your own. Compare yourself to who you were yesterday, not to others around you. Ask yourself, what did I do today to grow? What can I improve tomorrow? When you focus on your own path, comparison becomes irrelevant. And 2. Instead of focusing on what others have or have achieved, stop and reflect on what you've already accomplished. Gratitude helps push away envy and the desire to be someone else. When you focus on what you have, you start to appreciate your own journey. 3. Understand that everyone has their own time. Each person is at a different stage in their life and has their unique story. The success of others doesn't diminish yours. Respect your own timing, trust your process, and remember that results don't happen overnight. Like the Stoics, remember that true peace comes from within. Don't compare yourself to others, for it only brings confusion. Instead, eliminate that mental distraction and focus on your own path. By doing so, you get closer to living a full and peaceful life. Silence the noise and what's essential becomes clearer. 10. The unnecessary comparisons. Sometimes I wonder, why do you have this habit of comparing yourself to others? Come on, don't make excuses. We all do it. But tell me, do you really think it serves any purpose? It's like running in a race where the other participants don't even know they're in it. And worse, they probably don't even care. Meanwhile, you're there, in your head, measuring each step, each stumble, but not yours, theirs. Comparing yourself is like trying to win a singing contest by using someone else's voice. It doesn't make sense. You have your own melody, your own rhythm, but you insist on following someone else's score. The problem is, this seemingly harmless habit slowly chips away at your self-esteem. You wake up one day feeling like you're not good enough, not fast enough, not enough in something. All because you're too busy looking sideways instead of focusing on what's ahead. The truth is, life isn't a speed race. It's more like a boat journey. You choose the direction, the stops, and the pace. But if you're too focused on the boats passing you, all you do is steer your own boat off course. The most curious thing is that while you're watching someone else's boat, they're probably doing the same with yours. That's how this absurd comparison works. Everyone looks at others, but no one enjoys their own journey. Stop comparing and do it in silence. Eliminate this practice as something you take out of your life without making a fuss. It's like getting rid of an old t-shirt you no longer wear. No one needs to know, but you'll feel the difference. Comparing yourself to others isn't just useless. It's a betrayal of yourself. It's like telling your inner self that you're not enough, that you need to be someone else to be valuable. But think about it. This philosophy makes no sense. The Stoics already said, the only valid comparison is with who you were yesterday. So, what do you do when the comparison starts? Don't try to silence the voice. Question it when you notice that inner voice starting to compare. Listen to what it says, but question its logic. Why are you comparing yourself to this person? What exactly makes you feel inferior? Remember what you've already achieved. Take a pause and reflect on your own progress and accomplishments. We often forget how far we've come when we're constantly looking at others. Another powerful strategy is practicing gratitude. Yes, I know, it sounds like a cliche, but I assure you, it's effective. Be thankful for what you have, for what you've achieved, for who you are. When you focus on what you have, instead of what's missing or what others possess, something shifts. Suddenly, life is too short to waste time competing in an imaginary race with others. Comparing yourself only distracts you from what truly matters. Living your life at your own pace, with your own rules. And when you start doing this, you'll realize how liberating it is. My friend, here's a reflection that helped me a lot in the toughest moments. I sincerely hope this message has been helpful. I want to congratulate you for making it this far and completing the video. That means you want to improve as a person. If you liked the video, leave a comment. If you don't know what to write, just type gratitude. If you're not subscribed to the channel yet, what are you waiting for? Subscribe now and join us. Stoicism is full of teachings like this that you can apply in your life. I leave here 2 videos full of Stoic wisdom for you to continue learning. Stay with God and in peace. Until next time, my friends.